Hey everybody. Obviously put my suit on this morning, was at an event and somebody said, what do you do? And I don't know, it just clicked for me. So I took some notes and wanted to let you know what it is that I do in a little different way than I've expressed before. So I said, well, I'm a culture building facilitator and basically work with any team, any community to help them build a culture that gets them to perform better. I said, the Indiana football team had the 74th ranked talent in the country, and yet they won the national championship because they had a great culture, and the coach has said it was about their sense of belonging, their unity, the love that they had for each other. So the name of my company is Connect Deeply, Accomplish More. I don't want to talk about love too much, but that's connection is essentially what I'm getting at. There's been a lot of talk about vulnerability. Brene Brown's been awesome about that vulnerability helps people connect and gets people to perform really, really well, especially when the leader can be vulnerable. But I've found that people still hesitate, that they don't want to be vulnerable. That just is sort of scary, and they ultimately end up asking in one way, shape, or form, well, how and why does vulnerability work? They want something more to get them to think about and try this sort of stuff. And so what I've been doing, and it's been working, I've been weaving in the science of psychology, neurochemistry, quantum physics, even cosmology, even the study of the universe and how the universe operates. I weave that into my work, whether it's a retreat or a team meeting in the right dosage, and I connect those sciences to their experiences so that they can see that their successful conversations and teamwork is rooted in all of these different scientific principles. And when they see that and they make that connection, that gives them a mental on-ramp to try vulnerability, try connection. I try not to use the word vulnerability at all anymore, but it helps them think, I will make an effort to connect more deeply with folks because I see from those sciences why that will lead to better performance. And I have experiences that show me that, in fact, when we live into that science, we have done better. So that's a big part of it, is helping people create a framework that combines science with their lived experience. And then they can step into the work, connect deeply, so they can accomplish more. The other thing I've noticed is that people have these great retreats and they'll break through hugging. Sometimes people cry because they give up their resentments for each other, and then they see each other's gifts. They really want to work together, and then they fall back because it's easy in the busyness of day. Daniel Goleman says we have this social autism, this buzz that keeps us in fight or flight, a low-grade fight or flight mode all the time. And there's lots of kinds of autism, but sort of the root of it is a neurochemical challenge in connecting and relating to others. And so he said we're socially autistic because our life is so buzzing, we've just got this distance from each other. We're protecting each other from all the fires we're putting out all the time. So we have to have a way to intercept that social autism with daily practices that then replicate or keep the breakthrough going that they had during the retreat. And so, for example, UConn, I just follow women's basketball, and they have a belief that body language determines success and that it's contagious, and there's science behind that, and they've got experience that when the star is sloppy and loose during a blowout, because it's an easy game, they pull the star, they bench the star because they know that body language is going to be contagious both in that game and going forward. They even benched somebody in the national, I think it was the national semifinals, when the young woman missed a shot that could have got them close. 3 or 4 different players said, they literally put their hand under her chin, said chin up, and she got benched, even though she was one of their best shooters, because that's their practice. And they do it every day. Now that's tough love, but they all did it with compassion. So what I try to do with people at the end of these retreats that I have, or any sort of extensive session, is if they've had any sort of a breakthrough, which they almost always do, I ask them to identify, what did you do during this retreat or experience that led to this different kind of a conversation that led to you being connected, that led to you forgiving each other for all your frustrations, whatever the breakthrough was around. And when in the past have your conversations been better? What caused those conversations to be better? And so they've got all these different possibilities. And I say, well, how do you co-create, right now in the room, let's co-create a set of practices for your meetings, sometimes one-on-one things, but cultures are shaped every interaction, but when you gather, that's a special opportunity to create a culture. So team meetings where people walk in and they do the same thing and they have the same tensions over and over and over again, those aren't building the kind of connected culture that leads to greater success. So how do you guys choose a set of practices that allow you to continue connecting more deeply or build on the connections that you've just made here during a facilitated conversation? And so they can create a framework of their own. And they don't need neurochemistry or psychology or quantum physics to do that. Anything that they know is true for them, they're just building a framework and a set of behaviors and practices that allows them to live into this level of connection that leads to success. It's kind of like when football teams, great football teams, they do film session, they watch film together. But the great teams that have great connection, they have compassionate film sessions. Nobody's calling each other out and criticizing. They're being supportive and saying, hey, you can do better here, chin up. So what kinds of practices will help people sort of reflect together in a way that's compassionate? What practices will lead to that kind of compassionate honesty? So I'm helping teams build frameworks based on their own experience, their own science, so to speak, and behaviors, past behaviors, that help them get through uncertainty, difficult times. As football teams and sports teams, help them get through adversity. And Indiana football and UConn women's basketball, all the great teams talk about they won because they had a belief in each other and that they practiced staying connected so that they would continue to have that belief. And to me, that sounds a lot like faith in each other. And it's not religious faith. It's faith based on science and personal lived experience with each other that helps you keep going through adversity. It's just secular. But somehow the term faith in each other, I don't know why that works. It works for me. It's been working for teams that I work with. Once they realize I'm not talking about the old version of that, once I'm talking about, they know that they're really talking about each other and how they see each other, folks really are resonating with that. And what I've noticed too, and the data shows this, younger people in their 20s and early 30s really resonate with psychology, quantum physics. People say they're snowflakes and touchy-feely and sensitive. Well, they're sensitive because that's how our neurochemistry is. That's how the universe is sensitive. Quantum entanglement, for example. That's what the psychology shows, is that we've been too insensitive as a culture, the social autism. And so they really resonate with this idea of faith, and the data shows that many people are going back to religion. And again, this is not about religion, it's about what keeps you going in the face of adversity. Many people are going back to religion, and young people especially are turning to faith because things are so difficult and challenging. So I just wonder if that's something that your team might explore. How can they create their own faith framework together so that they believe in themselves and can get through whatever VUCA, right? Volatility, uncertainty, chaos and I think adversity. What framework can help you guys get through that? So that's the work I've been stepping into. You can read about the specific protocols on my Substack page. I've got lots and lots of articles. I've got stuff on my website. I'm continuing to upload more sort of basic resources that people can tap into. And so, well, what do you do to get those breakthroughs to happen, and what kinds of practices can people have in their meetings so that they can continue to deepen their connections? Well, that's all in the posts and on my website, and I'm continuing to write and learn more about that stuff as I both practice with teams and just keep reflecting on what's working for me, what's working for them, and how the state of the science evolves. So thank you all for listening.